Hello, everyone, and welcome to today. And I'm just going to take a moment to just remind you to always come with a pen and paper because you never know what little nugget you're going to be able to take away with for yourself in the days that come and with the experts that we have. And so our effort is really here for you to pick one thing, maybe in the day, two, whatever it is, that helps you move forward in your life and get you the things that you're looking to do, to live that big, bold life of yours that's right here for you. So welcome to today, Change Your Thinking, Change Your Body. And my guest today is Sharon Carne. Hey, Sharon, how are you? And so how are you? So we froze a little bit. So sorry on that. I'm going to read a little bit about Sharon. Sharon is, and this is so interesting. I'm so excited to bring her to this summit, I have to say, this master class. So Sharon Carne is an author, speaker, a musician, a recording artist, sound healer, Reiki master, and consultant. Sharon is the founder of Sound Wellness and the Sound Wellness Institute. Through the Sound Wellness Institute, holistic healing practitioners receive the highest level of competency training in Canada. She's in Calgary, and in using sound and music to support their practice. Sound wellness programs are the forefront of education in how sound and music can be easily applied to your everyday life. It will reduce stress, help you concentrate, energize you, inspire you, and support your health. I am so excited to talk to you today. And it's so interesting because when I researched you and found you, I thought to myself, and I briefly mentioned this to you, but I want to share with the viewers today too, that I personally am going through this process for myself and transitioning so much of my life. I moved out to California after 57 years on Long Island, and I'm in such a transition from my life and really open to receiving what it is that I'm meant to do in this world. And so music has been so powerful for me lately. And I want to get to what it is that you do with sound. But this is what came up with me when I spoke with you, that the music that I'm playing is enveloping me in a way that it's never enveloped me before. And I am connecting mind, body, spirit wise to the lyrics, to the person and the images that come up. I get goosebumps because it is and I go through this emotional, I'm going to call it an event. And I feel so powerful in that moment. In fact, I've even had moments where the song and I don't even know what to call it. Everybody's going to think she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs kind of thing. But it comes up and it just says, take a moment, Lucia, sing this to yourself. And I sat and sang this song to myself that I've heard a million times. But the music, the words sunk into me in such a way. And I was just so grateful for the moments. And they were so powerful. And I had to share that with you in this audience. I have goosebumps a mile high because I can't even describe to you. I just was so proud of myself, if I can say, to lean into the experience because it was overwhelmingly powerful and I just felt so good. So I'm not sure if that's where you go, and we can talk about all of that because I see all your beautiful bowls behind you and you're going to talk about that. So maybe let me ask you, and I know they didn't even hear your voice yet, how, Sharon, did you get involved in this sound wellness? I would love to hear the correlation and what I said. Tell us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be your guest, Lucia. I'm so thrilled to be here and to be able to share about sound and music and how deeply it supports us in every particle of our being. As you were saying, it's so true. And sound wellness is one of those, I guess, hits from the universe that changed my direction. I've been a musician and a music teacher all my life. I fell in love with the classical guitar when I was 16 years old. There was one under the Christmas tree and I totally fell in love. I ended up getting 2 degrees in music and then eventually ended up as a faculty member at the conservatory here in Calgary, as teaching classical guitar to all ages, from 3 years old right up to university level and into some people when they're seniors. Had a very successful practice and studio here, but there's another part of me and another path that I've always been on for as long as I can remember, and I didn't even know what this path was really until sometime when I was in my 30s. My mom told me that I had a near-death experience when I was a baby. I stopped breathing. I had whooping cough and I stopped breathing. And so she was panicking. I turned blue and black and all kinds of colors. I don't know how long I was gone, but she eventually grabbed me by my feet and shook. And it dislodged the mucus or whatever it was in my bronchial tubes, and I started breathing again. Well, that set my feet on a spiritual path, because I don't know where I grew up knowing that every time I looked into the eyes of another person, there was a whole lot more there than they were ever recognizing. There was a whole lot more there than they understood. And there was a whole lot more to the earth that I couldn't explain. So I began a search in my teens for reading all kinds of spiritual literature, mystical literature. And that kind of led to a drive and a search for what is it? What else is it that people aren't seeing? And how come I can see and understand this? So I eventually ended up taking all kinds of courses in alternative healing and alternative methods of healing, energy healing, and eventually ended up studying sound healing with some of the pioneers in the United States. As soon as I landed, first day in one of those courses, it was, Sharon, you're home. This is soul work. This is why I spent my whole life in music. It was tuning me for the real work, what I was supposed to be doing. And that's when the knock from the universe came. After the second training session I had in the States, I go back to my guitar teaching, and I get a call from out of the blue from the director of the Integrative Health Institute at the university, Mount Royal University. And she said, Sharon, I hear you're into sound therapy. Word gets around. So I said, I guess so. I've been doing years, decades of my own research for my own personal search. I've shared a few things, but mostly it was understanding what this soul work is supposed to be. So she says, well, we are sponsoring a study on stress through the Integrative Health Institute, and we want you to be one of the facilitators. We want to test sound therapy as an intervention to see how well it works in reducing stress. And I'm really good at that. So I was thrilled, and I said, yes, of course I'll do that. I created my program and then worked with the volunteers in the study for a number of weeks. And on the last week, the principal investigator was in on my session too, Lucia, and we were surrounded like a beehive of people saying, this was so incredibly helpful. How do we learn more? Right. And I thought, I can't answer that.
Right, because it's all coming at you, right?
Yeah, and it was a month after that. I finished my last session around May, that in 2008, and then by September we offered our first courses, Sound Wellness. And I thought, I've got to find a way to get this message out to a larger audience.
Yeah.
And that was course correction that came from out of the blue, phone call that changed my life.
No, out of the blue. Right, no, in
that's
the blue.
True.
Right in the, and I love when that happens to us, and that's just to say as a side comment, when those whispers come to you and those things, like you say, what a coincidence, out of the blue, it was meant to happen. And I feel like, not that you haven't, but embrace those moments. I love how intuitive you were at such a young age to know and to be so insightful into people. That's really a special gift. I just want to say that to you, because it's quite a powerful thing to recognize in people. So as it relates to My summit change your thinking, change your body. What do you think the number, let me ask you this, for, and again, we'll circle back to sound wellness. What do you think the number one problem is, at the health problem, I should say, and how do you think it's robbing us of our peace, if you will?
That is such an important question, Lucia, because, and this may be why I was guided or was given the gift of being a part of this study on stress, because declared that stress is the epidemic of the 21st century. Another statistic, and this leads to so many other health problems in.
Oh, we had some technical difficulties. Okay, so stress is at epidemic levels, and I think, can all nod. I think everybody's nodding at that. Go on.
One of the statistics that really blew me away that was shared within this study on stress was that 80 to 90% of all doctors' visits are rooted in conditions caused by stress. So it's so important for us to become educated in what are the symptoms of stress, how does this show up in my life, what are my triggers, and how can I reduce it. And there are so many powerful tools that really help reduce symptoms of stress. Sound is very powerful because we're so wired for it.
Sure. Let me ask you though, because I could feel people out in the audience going, "Oh, I know exactly what stresses me out." Is it more detailed than just one of the, like, so we can guess at the things, right? Work, time suck, all of the financial fear, stress, and we can probably, chunk through the big top ones. But do you suggest that we dive deeper into recognizing that, or is it a deeper dive? I don't, let me ask you.
Well, because 80 to 90% of the visits to the doctor
Yeah.
are because of rooted in stress-related conditions. The other figure that blew me away, Lucia, was only 3% of those people went to the doctor because they were concerned about stress.
So they went
that
for the
means
other reasons.
a whole pile of us are not aware. So yes, one of the things we have on our website is a little stress quiz at the bottom with 25 questions that come from university studies on little things like, do you get impatient in lineups? That raises your stress hormones. And we don't think about that. So there's 25 questions there for people to explore. We never know. We don't get names of people who are going through this little quiz, but we do know from the results over the last several years we've had this up, that over 80% of the people who respond to that quiz are in the high stress levels.
And I think it's, please, if anything, go to this website, which I will have all the information on, because I feel like we're just taking, and I've done this, I've been guilty of this myself, taking stress and just loading it on like the everyday occurrence. No worries, no big deal. So now I'm getting myself conditioned to deal with the stress or those feelings of stress, and not attending to the reasons. I know I've found myself falling victim to that, like, until I take a moment to pause and stop and say, wait a minute, I can't have this in my life. So I just want to encourage everybody to please, figure that out, if you will. I think it is very key. You're making me feel like it's very key, right? In terms of all moving forward and all of the, so let's look at how we're wired for sound, because I think that's where we're going with the stress parts of it.
Yeah, and thank you for just encouraging everyone, Lucia, to become more aware of this, because it is so important for taking care of our own selves. It's a really one of maybe the biggest piece, and then start researching all the different solutions. Right. So wiring for sound. Oh my goodness. not everybody knows that sound goes through you. Sound goes through the fleshier parts of your body 4.5 times faster than it goes through the air. Sound goes through your bones 12 times faster than it goes through the air. And we always think of our bodies as being impermeable, but as far as sound is concerned, the human being, the human body, is a resonator and an amplifier for sound. And we don't realize that many of the sounds around us are going through us. Like when one of those boom, somebody stops beside you at a red light and they've got the stereo up so loud that you can feel boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, going through you. That's the experience. Now that's a sound that does not feel good going through you, usually, especially when it's just a
I don't know. It's probably
range.
my car that pulled up next to you. Just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah, no, but that, those are the more obvious ones. Honestly, the ones that, my son's in a band, and when I go see his shows, it is loud, and you can actually physically feel it. And those are the more grander gestures. But you're suggesting everything, birds, right? Everything, the wind, even is okay. Continue, please. I find this fascinating.
Everything. Now, so plant that thought,
Yeah.
and then start to become aware more of how you're feeling when you're in a sound environment. How do you feel when you're in the mall, when there's a lot more noise? How do you feel when you're in an outdoor cafe and there's a lot of traffic? How do you feel when you're walking in the forest? Notice how that affects you. And then another thing to notice, and this one is a little more subtle, but this also is the reason why, well, one of the reasons why all of the music that you mentioned at the beginning was so helpful to you. Whenever you walk into the supermarket or the mall, there's always music playing. Well, it takes only minutes for your heartbeat to match the beat of the music. Minutes. And we cannot turn that off. It happens whether or not you're even paying any attention to the music. It changes your heartbeat. And when the beat of the music changes your heartbeat, it also changes your breathing and your brainwave state. These three systems are intimately connected. When you change one of them, you change all three. Now, when you think about that for a minute, we know that a relaxed heartbeat is between 50 and 70 beats per minute. Now, when you go halfway between that, you get 60 beats per minute, which is a second. So that's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Now that is a relaxed heartbeat. So when you've had one of those days when you just know that it's been a tough day and your stress levels are higher, go through your music collection, look for a piece of music or several pieces of music that have that beat to them. 1,000, 2,000, and put them on in the background. Doesn't matter what you're doing. And then after a few minutes, you'll notice your breathing slowing down. You're starting to feel a little calmer. Your heartbeat slowed down and the brainwaves slow down. One of the things that stress does is it hijacks your thinking brain. You lose contact with the frontal lobes. And slowing down the heartbeat is one way to get some of that thinking brain back, especially.
I have to just say, I love that you said it hijacks your thinking brain. What a great image. What a great image to think about that. Because as you're saying this, I can, so it's interesting because I can feel people coming home, maybe intuitively knowing, put on some music, but the first thing they'll do with the music is grab a glass of wine or something like that, and then think it's the wine. I know everybody's out there going, "Oh, bring up the wine. Why are you bringing up the wine?" But thinking that it's the wine that's relaxing them, when in fact it's more likely that the fact that you've really gotten yourself calmed down with the music, and now all of that's playing. It's right. I would say that. Yeah, I'm thinking that. I know everybody's all pissed off now. Put down my wine, but please continue. I find this so fascinating in terms of the wiring too. So let me ask you, to what I just said, what are the healthier sounds to listen to? Is it in line with the rhythm that you were just describing?
Well, it's a little bit different than that, and that's a really good question. And it's another part of our wiring for sound, Lucia. And this wiring for sound is one of the other reasons your music works so perfectly for you, is that our nervous systems are wired to respond to sound. And when we're listening to our favorite song, when we're listening to bird song or water or wind, when we're listening, when we're playing music with other people, when we're singing with other people,
Yeah.
there's a neural cocktail of hormones released by your nervous system that makes you feel better, that strengthens your immune system, that makes you more relaxed. That's dopamine. There's oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. There's a neural cocktail of hormones that are released by your nervous system. And the nervous sound is food. It's food for your nervous system. And we all know there's junk food, there's junk sound. We all know there's good food, there's good sound. And we all know there's superfood and there's super sound. And wind, water, and bird song are some of the healthiest sounds that there are for the human being. And this goes back to our wiring and how we evolved. Water has a lot of lower frequencies in it, and it helps us discharge excess energy like stress from our nervous system. So it helps us relax.
My favorite thing, just to interrupt, when I know that I'm feeling that, and I recall this all, and who knew? See, again, I have to give myself some kudos for my intuition. And I would drag myself to a beach, and I would just sit there and listen. And I'll to this day, I tell everybody that when I go to water, it changes me, and I need to be by water. So I love that you said that. Go on, please, please, please.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. Absolutely. And we need that. We're wired for that.
Yeah.
And it helps us so, so, so much. Now, also wind helps to give us our bearings. We evolved with the wind. And which way is the wind going? Here's a big blast of wind. Uh-oh, storm, go hide. Let's go for shelter. All kinds of, we're wired to respond to this. And then birds is a big one. Birds has high frequencies. You never know when a bird's going to sing. It charges the nervous system, these high frequency sounds. So it's good food for focusing your brain and giving you more energy. Also, another thing with birdsong that's so interesting is it's unpredictable. We never know, and because it's unpredictable, the brain is always looking for patterns, but it can't find any patterns in birdsong. So the brain becomes focused and productive when you're around birdsong, and we feel safe when we hear birds singing. When the birds stop singing, we're wired, our internal wiring for tens of thousands of years says, the bird stopped singing. What is it around?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, because I think we've learned that, right? That when animals can see and feel things before us, when there's something happening, especially the birds. I had read that about storms, and even I heard about the tsunami, about how the animals respond to that stuff. So, yeah. And it's how can, I'm feeling right now, I'm just, able to sort of, trace back into my file cabinet in my brain in terms of what I've done with sound that I didn't even realize I was doing. Because, when I put on the music, I just know I like it. And especially now I'm thinking about when a song really hits my ears and I go, oh my God, I love that song. And I feel like I got to play it again. And, that's when I buy it on iTunes and play it so many times, because I got to learn all the lyrics, and sometimes I'm in the place where I like to figure out why I like it so much. What is it making me feel like that, not only is the sound and the tone and everything, but I could feel it in my body. So I love that you're pointing this out now, because I bet you a lot of people are recognizing, yeah, I've felt things with sound, but you've not realized it's because of that sound. And I can't imagine it doesn't bring us back to a serenity sort of spot. How does it help us reconnect to serenity?
One of the things that I love to share, Lucia, is that you are harmony. You are serenity. You are peace. You are bliss. You are joy. This is a permanent part of your being. You can never, ever lose it. It can never, ever be taken away from you. What we do is we dump all this other stuff on top of it, and we forget that we're harmony, that we're bliss, that we're serenity, that we are all of these things. Remember, you can never, ever lose it. And it's so important to plant that into your being, that this is who you are. And sound and music, because we're so deeply, deeply wired to respond to it, helps us remember that we are harmony.
I have to take a moment of pause on that, because I don't know that we all think of that way, that we are all. That's just giving me a moment to take my breath away, honestly, because I don't know that we connect that way.
No, we don't.
I think it is intuitively there, but to your point, it's layered with all the other stuff of the day, which gets so much attention. And the hijacking of the brain, I'm so using that again, because like those words make me stand up and go, wait a minute, what? Hijack my brain? Oh no, not on my watch, right? So I see how congruent this is to change your thinking, change your body, change your life, make the changes necessary. So if I put myself in the best state, and music and sound can do that, put you in a state, then I'm more receptive to rationalizations of, what's true, what's the belief. Because I think here's some key things. I feel like I'm having an epiphany, Sharon. Thank you for being with me. I do. Forgive me, because I do. I feel like I'm having this epiphany, because it's almost, it's the opportunity to surround yourself with the environment, the sound that it requires in that environment, to take out the tape of what's playing in your brain and your belief pattern, look at it, because now you're in a space of love, a space of serenity, a space of harmony, all of the things that you said that we are, to be gentle and kind enough to say, let me see what I've been talking to myself about. What can I keep that's working for me? And the things that have got to go, that do not line up with my serenity, my harmony, all of the pieces of what I've meant to be here as this magnificent being in this world, connected with you and connected with everybody out there watching this. That is absolutely key, in my opinion now, for you to really, take that out and look at it, because that's what we're asking. Everybody has been asking, even every expert on here, is the one common denominator we've all said is awareness. Common denominator. Please become aware. Be aware of what's going on with you, because from there you can start to pick at it, right? So this is fabulous. And tell me, because I'm so intrigued, and maybe everybody else is, behind you in those bowls, like, can you take one down and show us and give us a little something?
Actually, I so love what you're saying, Lucia, and this is perfect to be able to use the bowl as an example for this. I wanted to add to what you were saying, as far as taking out that thought and having a good look at it. Sound is physical. It goes through you. And as it goes through you, it's doing this to your atoms and molecules. It's shaking everything up. So not only do you get a chance to look at the thought and belief pattern, it's actually shaking them out of your being, depending on what the sound is. And that's what these guys do. As that sound goes through you, it shakes up every molecule of your being and allows some of those stuck patterns to move out physically, in addition to the thoughts. So they work together so perfectly. And I like to call the Tibetan bowls, and well, the Tibetan bowls, recordings, your voice, all of these things, as the sound goes through you, shakes everything up. It allows everything to reset to its own natural patterns. It's just like what you do when your computer's not working. What do? Restart. This
Mm.
is what these things do,
Right.
and certain ways of using your voice, and some of your recordings. All of these things help you restart to go back to that harmony, back to that bliss, back to those natural patterns. We know what this is. We just dump so much stuff on top of it, we forget. So the Tibetan bowls have all these beautiful wavering frequencies in them that shake everything up everywhere. So here's the sound of this one.
Everything right in my apartment is going boom, boom, boom. I could feel it, and it's all the way in Calgary, man. That was beautiful tone also. What a beautiful collection you have. And so you call it a gong? Gong it? What do you
I
call
call it a gong mallet.
it?
Because absolutely, and this brings out more of the frequencies. You can also use a stick to play it with a stick.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, it only gives you one or two of the frequencies. With these ancient old bowls, I love all of those frequencies because it gives more things a shake up.
Yeah. And that's why when you're in a meditation circle, I've been in meditation circles, and every now and again throughout the course of the time frame, they would gong, not necessarily a bowl, but a gong. And so now that I have this knowledge, I'm so excited to have this knowledge now. I really am, because I'm going to be so much more aware of actually what it's doing for me. Oh my God, this is like such great pearls of knowledge. So I recognized even when they would, do the gong, and instinctive, I took a breath right after and let it out very slowly and went back into my meditation.
Mhm.
Uh, I love that. I just love that. I think I'm going to run out. The Agape Spiritual Center is in LA with Michael Beckwith, and I know he has singing bowls there. I've seen them there. I've not seen this kind of collection. Those are large.
Yes, they're all quite large and they're very rare. They were chosen specifically, this set, to match the chakras and the way the chakras are tuned in an ancient Tibetan way of healing. So it's slightly different than the chakra tuning that some people are familiar with in North America, which is the scale, relating to a scale. So the root chakra at the base of your spine is a C, and then we go up the alphabet to a B at the crown chakra. Whereas in the ancient Tibetan tradition, at least this one, then the chakras are labeled a little differently, and they're used slightly differently. Each one is very powerful. There's a funny thing that happened. I often use them when I'm asked to do bowl meditations for groups of people. We do a chakra clearing with the old bowls, and it was interesting. The last one I did a few weeks ago, the throat chakra bowl is the dark one up here.
Okay.
And as soon as I got to that one, there were 3 people in the group that started coughing. And I thought,
What a cough. I can't even tell you. All right.
good throat chakra clearing as soon as I started that one. So such powerful, powerful sound.
And I have to say this just to pause again. This is here for us. It's not in a bottle of pills. And I'm not passing judgment. I've been working so hard for myself to find other ways of healing myself for whatever the heck it is, right? Whatever's coming at me. Truthfully, I do. I don't like any of the, and many of us have in our lives, both my parents are residuals of, the after effects of the side effects of whatever the list of things that they were on. And I'm working really hard towards, things like this, because this makes sense to me, because we're living, breathing creatures. And now that I have this knowledge of what sound is doing, don't think that after this interview, I'm taking my walk differently today. completely differently today. And it's funny because sometimes, depending upon what I hear, I always watch my grandpuppies. I have my grandpuppies and they have their ears and they go, whoop, 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 right? Their ears are like these little, I can't even do it on screen, but I'm fascinated by what they hear and how they hear it because they're not in our things. And so like sometimes my little Hanky, he can go here. My son's dog, Hanky, he'll have his ear listening to you, and then this ear is turned listening to, and that they're hearing sounds, of course everybody's thinking I'm cuckoo now, but I watch that. I find that fascinating because every now and again, sometimes depending upon the sound, and now that I know this, my ears will tingle or twitch or feel like they're doing what the puppy was doing, like feeling like it's trying to, I don't know, what is that? Hone in on what the sound could be? Look at me with my, but that's what I'm feeling like. I'm feeling like It's like when you cover to listen to a shell and all of that, right? You hear it differently. So I don't know. I find this very fascinating, and I'm so going to be making conscious, writing down what I'm feeling from this as a result of this information now, because I think that this is another layer of, keeping out of the stinking, I call it the stinking thinking in my head. There's no reason why I can't start to align a little bit differently too. So, God, just like, I feel like I could just pick your brain forever today. And I'm not sure, did we lose, how long are we talking? Because I'm so excited about this. If there was one piece of advice or something, I've been asking everybody this, one thing that people can do differently today, and I think that there's probably many, 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 many nuggets from today, but what would you suggest in terms of starting to make changes? Of course, awareness is one thing that we talked about. So tell us what you think.
I think that would be what I would say, Lucia, and you've already said it, is become intensely aware of the sound around you, because it affects you whether you're aware of it or not. It goes through you. One of my favorite mindfulness meditations is listening to the birds as I go for my walks. And it just brings me to such a peaceful and calm place.
Would you suggest that better than, because I'm walking around LA here, and everybody's with they got their music on, which I have done. Take them out because the nature sounds are far more healing.
Yes.
Okay, that makes some sense. I think now, for the audience listening to this, I think that they will, change the way you look at things, right? So the things you look at change. That's what this summit's about. So if you change that, now that you take out your headphones, or even not talk to people on the phone, just as experiment, because I think that that's the thing. Here's what I'm going to do. Recognize how I'm feeling before I embark on my walk, or whatever sound I'm looking to pay attention to in its effects on me, and then pay attention to the effects on you. Because I think by that same token, when you hear things that are off-putting, I could tell you right now when it puts me in a state of, get me out of here, or when I'm in such thought and something else, is in an awful distraction. I call it, I go, I must be ADD. That's what I start to say, because and this is very helpful to me, but because I was feeling like that, maybe I'm ADD because I hear this sound and I'm trying to listen to this, but maybe it's exactly what you said about all of my body feeling everything, and because it's not congruent to each other, it's making me feel like I'm everywhere. Wow, this is groundbreaking stuff. I'm just thinking about all the other issues that people have been diagnosed with, that this will be very, very, very helpful with. Sharon, I love the work that you're doing. Tell us about your free gift. There's a free gift. Tell us about your free gift.
Wow, awesome. Thank you. And thank you, Lucia. It's actually free gifts. Gifts are 3 of my CDs. The first one is called Woodland Song, and it's an hour of gentle bubbling water and woodland birds. So it keeps you relaxed and the brain focused, or it just helps you relax. play with that and explore how it makes you feel. I like to have it on when I'm writing because it keeps me from getting stressed or any stress symptoms, and it keeps me very focused.
Great.
So that is to play with. And then the second CD is called Blissful Chimes, for when you just need to tune out and slow everything down. It has a very slow breathing rhythm. And it is a slow keyboard track and wind chimes. I love wind chimes. So that one is to slow you down, and especially slow this down. And then the other one has a combination of tracks on it. It's called Daily Serenity. And one of the most important tracks on that is called Reset. That is about a 12.5-minute track, and it has the most powerful sounds I know to give you a powerful reset for when you're not feeling well. And that I created in 2009 during a huge flu epidemic in Calgary. There was so much fear in the air here that I created the track and put it out on our newsletter list, put it up on the site, and I told people, download this track and it'll help you feel better, it'll strengthen you. So it's gone all over the place. That's one of the tracks. Another one is a gentle flute meditation, and another one is a grounding meditation, because many of us spend so much time in our heads, we're not in our bodies, and we need to be grounded and in our bodies to do our most powerful work. We need to be here. And so that's a grounding meditation to help you be here and to help you connect with our beautiful earth.
Wow, what a generous gift. Thank you so much for explaining it all. Here's what I'd like to say to the audience today. We want to hear from you because I know Sharon is on this, I feel groundbreaking. Yes. Groundbreaking. Yeah. Because I feel I've not heard of this. I've heard of music therapy, but sound wellness, I'm all jazzed up. All my molecules are going, yeah, baby, this is going to be so good. So we want to hear from you. If you've downloaded this generous gift from Sharon, let us know how it's affecting you. Let us know how these, making these changes or recognizing your stress level and how listening to something, whether it's part of what Sharon's sharing with you or something else that you found that's really, giving this grounding, this centering, this finding your serenity. We want to know. We'll get more of that, right? Because the more the things that are working, the more we want, that we want to. I enjoyed this interview so much. I enjoyed this topic. You were just a sweetheart and a delight to talk to. I love that you shared your bowls with us. I'm really going to look forward to getting some, and I know you have a ton of other things. You talked about tuning forks and things like that. So I know that's all on your website. So we will absolutely let everybody know that where your website can be found. And please, please, please just answer back and let us know how everything is going. Thank you. Thank you so much for today. And there's more, so stay tuned. Oh my God, we were frozen. You need to say goodbye. I said goodbye, but I know that you want to get a chance to say goodbye to our audience today. And thank you again for sharing everything, Sharon. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucia. I'm just so honored to be here, and I'm sad to say goodbye. It's been so much fun.
That's okay. I got another new friend. This is great. Now you're in Canada, and I know exactly who I can come visit, and I'll be knocking on the door.
Awesome.
Sharon, good luck with everything, and you'll hear back. Everyone's going to give some input, and I think that's important. Feedback is very key so that everybody can understand what it is and how we can answer what you want, give you what you're looking for, right?
Yes.
Blessings for today. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.